The Last Interview, a crime thriller short story. By The Quiet Kabin. The rain made the old police station sound alive. It crawled down the windows in silver veins. It tapped the roof in nervous fingers. It whispered through every crack in the brick like someone trying to get inside. Detective Elias Rusk sat alone in interview room 3 with one recorder, one yellow case file, and one cup of coffee gone cold enough to look black. At midnight, the station would close forever. By morning, a demolition crew would come with orange cones and hard hats. They would tear down the building where confessions had cracked open, where lies had bloomed, where murderers had smiled under fluorescent lights, and innocent people had prayed their fear did not look like guilt. For 32 years, Rusk had worked inside these walls. Tonight was his last shift, his last case, his last interview. And the woman sitting across from him had been dead for 7 years. At least, that was what Bellwether believed. Celine Arden had vanished at 22 after leaving a charity gala in a silver dress and borrowed diamonds. Her car had been found 3 miles from the river, door open, engine running, heel broken on the brake pedal. No body, no ransom, no blood. Only a message scratched into frost on the inside of the windshield. I know who he is. Rusk had memorized those words because they ruined him. They turned Celine from a missing woman into a ghost the whole city could not stop discussing. They turned every man she had ever loved, crossed, laughed with, or ignored into a suspect. They turned Rusk into the detective who almost solved the case. Almost. That word followed him into retirement like a shadow. Now Celine sat before him in a dark coat too thin for the weather. Her black hair was wet from the rain. Her hands were folded on the table. She looked older than the woman in the file, but not enough. Same scar under the left eyebrow. Same birthmark near the collarbone. Same calm mouth that seemed to know the answer before the question arrived. Rusk pressed record. The red light blinked. Then again. Like a heartbeat.
State your name for the record.
Celine looked at the recorder, then at him. Celine Arden. Her voice was quiet, almost tired.
Do you understand this interview is being recorded?
Yes.
Do you understand that making a false statement in an active investigation is a criminal offense?
A faint smile touched her mouth.
Detective, I have been dead for 7 years. I think the law and I are already complicated.
Rusk did not smile back. He opened the file, though he did not need to.
Where have you been?
Celine lowered her eyes to the metal table. Its surface reflected them badly, bending both faces into strangers. Underneath Bellwether. The rain grew harder. Rusk stared at her.
That is not an answer.
It is the only true one.
You expect me to believe you were hiding in the city for 7 years?
No, I expect you to listen until you understand why no one found me.
Rusk tapped the file once with 2 fingers.
A lot of people looked for you.
A lot of people pretended to.
The room seemed to tighten. Rusk had heard every kind of statement in this room. Crying, denial, rage, prayers. But Celine did not sound like a survivor desperate to speak. She sounded like someone who had rehearsed silence until it became a weapon.
Let's start with the gala. October 10th, 7 years ago. Security footage shows you leaving alone at 9:42 p.m. Why did you leave?
Celine breathed in slowly.
Because someone left a note in my clutch.
There was no note recovered.
Of course not. He took it back.
Who?
The man you let walk out of this room.
Rusk's eyes lifted. There it was, the first hook. He had seen it in liars, guilty people, and broken people who wanted to turn pain into theater. A sharp little thing pushed into the air between them, waiting for him to grab it. He did not.
Name? No.
Celine tilted her head.
You still want me to give it to you that easily?
I want the truth.
No. You want an ending you can survive.
The fluorescent light above them buzzed. Beyond the observation glass, the station was almost empty. A vending machine hummed. Pipes knocked in the walls. Somewhere, a loose door clicked softly in the air pressure. Rusk had asked for privacy. No officers. No witnesses. No interruption. Maybe that had been a mistake.
The note, what did it say?
Celine's fingers tightened once.
It said, "You were prettier before you knew."
Rusk wrote it down. The sentence landed somewhere old and ugly in him.
Before you knew what?
That Bellwether had a second police station.
Rusk stopped writing.
There is no second police station.
Not anymore.
Celine.
Do not use my name like that.
The softness was worse than shouting. Rusk closed his mouth. Celine looked toward the observation glass. Her reflection stared back, dark and doubled.
When I was 19, my father brought me beneath the old courthouse. Not to the ballroom. Under it. There was a tunnel from the records office to a basement chamber they called the archive. Judges went there. Councilmen. Officers. Men who smiled in public and traded sins in private.
Your father was a councilman.
My father was a collector. Secrets, favors, debts. He wanted me to learn early how power smelled.
And how did it smell?
She looked at him.
Like bleach over blood.
For the first time that night, Rusk felt the room lean. He had chased the Arden case through jealous lovers, charity fraud, family money, blackmail, and a missing diamond necklace worth more than his house. Every theory had been expensive or cruel. None had gone underneath the courthouse.
You never told anyone?
Celine gave a small, humorless laugh.
I was 19. The people I would tell were already there.
You wrote, "I know who he is," on the windshield.
I wrote that because I thought someone good would find it.
I did find it.
I know.
The way she said it made his skin tighten.
And why are you here?
Celine leaned forward. The recorder caught the whisper of her sleeve against the table.
Because you found the message and buried the meaning.
Rusk kept his face still.
Careful.
I have been careful for 7 years. Tonight, I am being accurate.
The red light blinked between them.
You are accusing me of misconduct.
No, I am accusing you of fear. There is a difference.
His jaw tightened.
Tell me what happened after you left the gala.
Celine looked down at her reflection.
A man waited by my car. He wore a police coat. Not a uniform. A long black raincoat with a badge clipped to his belt. I looked at the badge first, because women do that. We look for permission to be afraid.
Rusk said nothing.
He told me there had been a credible threat against me. He said he was taking me somewhere secure. I asked to call my mother. He said she had already been notified. That was the first lie. I got in the car because I was young enough to believe fear could be procedural.
Did you see his face?
Yes.
Name him.
Not yet.
Rusk slammed the pen down. The sound cracked through the room. Celine did not flinch.
This is not a stage. If you know who abducted you, say his name.
For a moment, only the red light moved.
You always did hate being led.
Rusk went cold.
What does that mean?
It means this is not the first time you and I have sat across from each other.
Yes, it is.
No, it is the first time you remember.
Rusk rose from the chair.
Interview paused.
He reached for the recorder. Celine's hand shot out and covered it. Fast. Firm. Not frightened.
Leave it on.
Rusk looked at her hand. A thin white scar crossed her knuckles like a half moon. He did not remember that scar from the file.
Take your hand off the recorder.
Ask me about the tape.
What tape?
Celine smiled sadly.
There he is.
The room had no clock, but time suddenly became a thing with teeth. Rusk sat back down.
Impossible.
You asked me 16 questions. You gave me water in a paper cup. You kept looking at the door because you were scared he would come back.
I never interviewed you.
You did.
Where?
Underneath.
A memory moved behind Rusk's eyes. Not a full memory. A flash. A concrete hallway sweating with damp. A woman's voice on the other side of a door. His hand holding a cup of water. Then nothing. Celine watched him like she had waited 7 years for that fracture.
You and your partner found me in the archive below the courthouse, bruised, drugged, alive. You were not supposed to be there, but you followed the river tunnel because you noticed mud on Judge Halden's shoes.
My partner died before this case.
No, your partner died because of this case.
A dull sound filled Rusk's ears. The official report said Detective Owen Marr died in a single-car crash. Brake failure. Wet road. Unrelated. Rusk had delivered the eulogy. He remembered Owen's wife clutching their son's shoulder. He remembered promising her he would find whoever took Selene Arden. Then, months of headaches. Whiskey. Dreams with no pictures.
No.
It came out too low. Celine's eyes softened, and that was worse than accusation.
They did something to you. To both of us.
Rusk gripped the edge of the table.
You do not get to come in here and rewrite my life.
I am returning the missing pages.
Enough.
You told me, stay awake, kid. I need you angry.
Rusk's breath caught. Kid. Owen used to call every witness kid when he wanted them to stop crying. Rusk never did. Except there had been a room. A basement. A girl with blood dried in her hair. A recorder on the table.
A confession that never reached evidence. Where is the tape?
Safe.
Where?
Somewhere he cannot burn it.
Who?
Celine's voice dropped.
The man who walked out wearing your badge.
Rusk stared.
My badge?
After you found me, you and Owen tried to bring me here. Your captain stopped you in the garage. He already knew. He had men with him. Men from the courthouse. Men from the mayor's office. They took Owen first. You fought. I remember that. You broke someone's nose.
A flash. Knuckles splitting. Owen shouting his name. White light.
They told you the city would burn if the archive came out, judges. Officers. Donors. Missing women no one had counted because they were poor, addicted, undocumented. Alone. They told you one rich girl coming back alive would destroy everything.
Rusk sat slowly. His knees felt unreliable.
What happened to Owen?
Celine looked away. The answer was there.
They made you watch.
For one terrible second, Rusk heard tires screaming on wet pavement. Then a man's voice close to his ear. Forget the girl, Elias. Forget the room. Remember the case the way we give it to you. Rusk opened his eyes.
Captain Bray?
Celine went very still. The name entered like a third person. Lionel Bray, decorated, respected. Dead 5 months ago from cancer after a farewell ceremony full of photographs. Rusk remembered standing by the coffin and wondering why he felt nothing.
Bray did it.
Celine shook her head.
Bray protected it. He was not the center.
Rusk looked toward the observation glass. For the first time, he noticed a small black square taped near the corner. A wireless camera. His hand moved to his holster. Then he remembered he had turned in his weapon at 6 p.m. Celine followed his gaze.
Good, you see it.
You are recording this somewhere else.
Yes,
Who is watching?
everyone.
Rusk looked back at her.
What did you do?
Celine's calm finally cracked, but not into fear, into fire.
I spent 7 years becoming the kind of ghost Bellwether could not bury twice. I learned names, bank accounts, storage units, lake houses. I found the women who survived, and the families of the women who did not.
She leaned closer.
And tonight, while the city thinks it is watching your retirement interview online, they are watching this.
Rusk's mouth went dry.
Are we live?
Delayed by 30 seconds. Long enough for the truth to reach 3 servers, 5 journalists, and every family they told to stop asking questions.
Rusk stared at the camera.
Why me?
Celine's expression changed. Not anger. Not pity. Something older.
Because you were the last good thing I saw before they put me back in the dark.
Rusk could not answer. Celine reached into her coat and slid an old photograph across the table. 5 men stood beneath the courthouse at a private event, glasses raised. Judge Halden, Captain Bray, Councilman Arden, Celine's father, a younger mayor, and beside them, smiling like he owned the light, stood Jonas Pike, billionaire, real estate king, Bellwether's favorite son. The man scheduled to attend the police station demolition at dawn. Rusk looked at the photo until the faces blurred.
Pike.
He funded the archive. He chose the women. He turned powerful men into clients and then into captives. Every secret made him richer. Every crime made him safer.
Why take you?
Celine's eyes hardened.
Because my father kept copies.
Rusk understood. Councilman Arden had not died by heart attack. He had been erased. Celine had inherited more than money. She had inherited leverage.
Where's Pike now?
Celine looked at the door.
On his way here.
Rusk stood.
You led him here?
No, I let him think he was leading me.
From somewhere deep in the station came a sound. A door opening. Not the front entrance. Below them. Rusk felt the memory fully then. The old station had been built over part of the same tunnel system as the courthouse. Storage rooms, maintenance access, rats. But if Celine was telling the truth, it had always been more than that. The dead building had roots, and something was climbing up them. Rusk moved to the interview room door and locked it.
This room will not hold.
It does not have to.
Footsteps sounded in the hall. Slow. Measured. Confident enough to let fear arrive first. Rusk glanced around the room. 2 chairs. A metal table bolted to the floor. 1 recorder. 1 old file. No gun. No backup. No more almost. The door handle turned. The lock held. Then a voice came through. Not loud. Not angry. Amused. Detective Rusk, still working after retirement? Jonas Pike. Celine closed her eyes. Rusk stepped toward the door.
This interview is being recorded.
Pike chuckled. Everything is recorded, Elias. The trick is owning the tape. Celine moved to the recorder.
You own nothing tonight.
Pike's silence sharpened.
Celine, you should have stayed at tragedy. People liked you better that way.
Rusk's stomach turned. Celine's voice shook, but it did not break.
Say it again. Louder.
Pike laughed softly.
You always were your father's daughter. Beautiful, stupid, and convinced paper could stop men with money.
The camera blinked. The recorder spun. And somewhere beyond the room, on screens across Bellwether, the city heard its favorite son speaking to a dead woman. Rusk lifted the metal chair. His shoulder protested, his back burned. Age and grief and forgotten violence all came awake at once. Pike struck the door. Once. Twice. The frame splintered. Rusk planted himself in front of Celine.
When that door opens, get behind the table.
No.
This is not a debate.
I did not survive 7 years to hide behind another man.
Rusk looked at her. In her face, he saw the girl in the basement, the woman at the table, the witness, the weapon.
And stand beside me.
The door burst inward. Pike came in with a black umbrella dripping rain and a pistol fitted with a suppressor. He looked older than the photograph, but age had not humbled him. His silver hair was perfect. His coat was perfect. Even his disappointment looked practiced. He glanced at the camera, then at the recorder. Then he smiled.
30-second delay. Do you really think I did not build the servers your little broadcast is using?
Celine went pale. Pike lifted the gun.
The public heard enough to be confused, not enough to convict. By morning, this will be called a retirement stunt, by a deteriorating detective and a traumatized fraud.
Rusk tightened his grip on the chair. Pike's eyes moved to him.
You almost ruined everything once. Do you know how hard it was to put you back together? Wrong.
Rusk's vision narrowed.
Owen Marr.
Pike smiled.
Brave man, short career.
The sound that came out of Rusk did not feel human. He swung the chair. Pike fired. The bullet punched through the chair back and tore past Rusk's side, hot as lightning. The impact spun him into the table, but the chair crashed into Pike's wrist. The gun hit the floor and skidded beneath the metal table. Celine moved before Pike recovered. She grabbed the yellow file and shoved it into his face. Papers exploded between them like pale birds. Pike stumbled. Rusk drove forward and slammed him into the wall hard enough to crack the observation glass. For 3 seconds, everything was breath and impact. Pike was strong in the way rich men become strong when they pay other people to be afraid of them. Rusk was old, bleeding, and furious enough to become young for one last minute. Celine dropped to the floor, searching for the gun. Pike saw her. He kicked Rusk in the wound and lunged. Celine's hand closed around the pistol. She lifted it. The room froze. Pike smiled like a man greeting a child with scissors.
You won't.
Celine's finger tightened. Rusk forced himself upright.
Celine.
Her eyes did not leave Pike.
He put me in the dark.
I know.
He put all of them in the dark.
I know.
Then why should he get a courtroom?
Rusk stepped beside her, one hand pressed to his bleeding side.
Because dead men cannot answer questions.
Pike's smile widened.
Listen to him. Good detective. Loyal to the end.
Rusk looked at Pike.
Not loyal. Hungry.
Sirens began outside. At first, distant, then multiplying. Pike's smile faltered. Rusk pointed weakly at the old recorder on the table.
You forgot something.
The red light blinked. Steady, faithful. Old enough to be invisible.
That is not Wi-Fi.
Pike lunged. Celine fired. Not at him. At the floor beside his foot. The shot cracked through the room like judgment. Pike stumbled back, shocked by the fact that she had chosen mercy and made it look like power. The hallway erupted in footsteps. This time, not his. Federal agents flooded the corridor, shouting commands Rusk could barely hear over the blood rushing in his ears. Pike dropped to his knees. Hands up, face empty. Finally, impossibly ordinary. Celine lowered the gun. Rusk reached for it gently, and she let him take it. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Celine looked at him. Did you remember all of it? Rusk looked at the cracked glass, the overturned chair, the scattered file, the man on his knees. Then he saw Owen Marr in the basement doorway, young and alive and scared, saying, "We do this right or we do not come back from it." Rusk swallowed.
Enough.
Outside, the rain began to thin. By dawn, the demolition crew did not tear the old station down. They opened it. The first wall beneath interview room 3 came apart at 6:17 a.m. Behind it, agents found 43 boxes wrapped in black plastic. Case files, photographs, jewelry, driver's licenses, tapes labeled with dates instead of names, and bones. Enough bones to make Bellwether stop pretending it had only been unlucky. Jonas Pike's arrest became the largest corruption case in state history. Judges resigned before breakfast. Councilmen deleted accounts too late. Former officers discovered that retirement was not the same as escape. The families came to the station fence with flowers, photographs, and shaking hands. Some cried because they finally knew. Some cried because knowing was another kind of wound. Celine Arden did not give a press conference. She stood across the street in a gray coat while the city learned how much darkness it had been walking over. Rusk found her there just after sunrise, one bandage under his jacket, one borrowed cane in his hand, and a face that looked 10 years older than it had the night before. For a while, they watched workers carry evidence into the morning.
What happens now?
Her voice was hoarse, human. Rusk looked at the old station.
Now they ask questions.
And you?
He almost said retire. He almost said heal. He almost said something easy.
Now I answer them.
The sun rose behind Bellwether, weak and silver, touching the wet street, the police tape, and the cracked windows of the building that had kept too many secrets. Rusk reached into his coat and took out the old recorder. Its casing was dented, one corner was cracked, but inside it, the tape had survived. Celine stared at it.
You kept it?
Evidence.
For the first time, she smiled. Not much. Just enough to prove the dead could return without becoming what killed them. The city wanted a clean ending. A monster in cuffs. A survivor in light. A detective redeemed. But endings were never clean. They were rooms with blood under the table. They were names spoken years too late. They were tapes that kept spinning after everyone thought the story was over. Celine pressed stop. The little red light died. And for the first time in 7 years, nobody told her to stay quiet. This is the end of the last interview. Thank you for listening to a Quiet Cabin original production.